Hi, in this video I'll show you how to delete records from the database. I'll be working with previous examples that we used to connect to the database and update the record in the database. So I'll create a new package and I will call it delete. I'll move the same files into my delete package, the same files I used for the previous two projects. So I have driver class, paper, and queries. In queries, I will modify update entry. So I'll remove update entry. And instead, I'll create delete entry. Delete entry. Alright. Here I will instantiate this delete entry. So I want to delete. I need to provide the table name where I'm deleting from. So I'll use my constant here. Delete from table, and I need to provide a parameter that will be used to find records to be deleted. So in this case, for me, it's going to be, let me check the SQL again. I think it's paper ID. So I'll delete entries by paper ID, where paper ID equals, and I'll put a question mark as a placeholder here. Later I will pass the some value here. Alright, let's save it and let's create a method. This method will return integer. And the name of the method will be delete entry, and it will accept parameter integer, which will be paper ID. Save. So it's expecting return statement. Let me create integer result equals 0 at the beginning, and at the end of my method I will return result. So in the middle here of my method, I will actually create I will update delete entry and execute that query on the database. So delete entry, set integer in position 1. So this position 1 refers to this first question mark I have. And here this is integer type. It's actually this paper ID that I will be passing here later. I'm going to use that paper ID to delete entries with that particular ID. I need to, this is a checked type of exception, so I need to surround this with try and catch, or I could also do add throws declaration, but in my case I'm going to choose the second option. So after setting the parameter that is used to delete the entry, I will actually execute the statement. So, and this will return to me the result. Delete entry. Execute update. And save. All right. So this should be sufficient for my code. And now I can test it. I'll go back to driver class. And instead of update item, I will call delete entry. And instead of passing this whole paper, I can remove all of that. I only need to pass one integer, but it should be some valid integer for one of our papers. Let me first provide invalid result. So something that we cannot find in database, and let's run this project. Right click, Java application. So we're getting result 0 because nothing was updated. But now let me provide one of the valid results. To find the valid result, I'll go back to connect to DB, because here we retrieve all queries, all rows from the table, and we display them all. So let me run that to see what kind of items I have. So right now there is only 2 items in the database, and ID is 1 or 2. So these are one of the 2 valid IDs. Go back to the driver class of delete, and let me provide 1 here. Save. And let's run it again. This time I'm getting result 1 because 1 entry was deleted. Let's go back to the connect to DB, and let's run this driver class that retrieves all the items from the database. This time I expect to see only 1 item being returned. And yes, item with ID 1 is no longer in the database, only 1 item is there with ID 2. So this was example of how to delete from the database and how to display the result back to the user. You can also, based on the result, you can also notify user of successful or unsuccessful update of the database for the deletion of the item from the database.